Hey guys, welcome to Jack's Low Carb Journey, I think number 20. Again, one day I'll actually look at the last episode number and be sure that I'm right. I think I'm right. We did take a day off yesterday. I got a bunch going on this week. We got our fall workshop coming up. So I had a lot of work to do with that. I'm not even done with that yet as far as getting ready for the stuff to go on sale on Saturday. And then I got just a bunch of other things going on. Baby ducks came yesterday, and I put out a little video on the channel showing y'all the baby ducks. So it's a busy week when you got that many things going on, and there's some other stuff y'all don't really care about, but it makes me take time. So had to take a day off, and I've been doing something we're going to talk about. One of my 5 questions I have for you today about keto diets. I've actually, got pretty far down on my weight loss and my big milestone of 25 pounds. We're about to celebrate that officially in just a second. I'm going to show you how when we get to it. But then creep back up a couple pounds for a couple days, and then boom, a huge drop. And that is normal, and we're going to talk about that in one of the questions today, because again, I got 5 questions for you. But let's go ahead and give you the weight loss update. The last time that we checked in, I was 222.6 pounds, and I actually went up over a pound since then, but then dropped like a rock, which is something typical. Again, I'll talk more about what I think's going on when we get to it. But dropped like a rock, and this morning weighed in at 220.6 pounds. That is total weight loss since I started doing this, which is 46 days ago, of 26.4 pounds, which is a total of 10.69% of my starting body weight. And I didn't measure myself today because I'm not due for another few days yet, but as of the last time I did measurements, I have dropped 6% body fat. Keto works, man. But what's the celebration today? Here we go. See that? That's a 25-pound plate. That's how much I lost. And I think this would be a good thing for you to do. When you lose your 25 pounds, if you have 25 pounds to lose, go weigh in with this weight in your hands. And then drop it. Maybe not on your floor in your bathroom, but you get what I mean. Maybe set it on the counter and watch it all go in one fell swoop. And celebrate it. Realize that's what you've done. Do you know what that is? Let's get it back here one more time. All right. You know what that is? It looks awful big when it's a big honking piece of cast iron, basically. But you know what it really represents in fat? 5 of those giant tubs of butter. When you get to 25 pounds, folks, that's what you've jettisoned. Let's not drop it so hard next time. All right. So let's get to my 5 questions. The one, and I don't have a complete answer for this yet, but why does my weight do this on keto? And really what it does is it has these little rises in between. And this is, if you cheat, if you have cheat days, if you consume a bunch of alcohol, you're going to see like I said before, if you drink way too much alcohol, like way more than you should drink anyway, the next day your weight will go ploof, and then it will go ploof because you've dehydrated yourself. But even when you do everything right, and I've seen plenty of people that use apps that actually, my app does a lot of good stuff, but it doesn't give me a chart. But I've seen almost every chart I've seen looks like this. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. And like every time it goes up, the big drop comes after, and then it goes back to steady, and then it comes plateaus, it goes up. And this is over like a few days. This isn't over like a month. If it's over a month, you might have hit a real plateau. This is just basic fluctuations. So what I think's going on is the weight loss itself. Once you get past that first week to 10 days where a lot of it is water just being released. And I had one person in my challenge said, I live in the desert and blah, blah, blah. I don't think it's water. It's water. Because carbohydrates increase your ability of your body to retain water. And when you get overweight specifically, you retain more water than you should. And it's a weird thing where you can actually be retaining water, but that water isn't necessarily available to your body. And you can have dehydration symptoms while you're retaining too much water because your body's that whacked out. But when we start a diet like keto and we purge that initial excess water from our bodies, which really doesn't belong there. because we're going to talk today too about how I believe this is the way people are supposed to eat. It's the way we were genetically designed to eat in the first place. It doesn't mean that you can't retain water at all. And I think most of those little fluctuations are, for some reason or another, your body's holding a little bit more water in. Again, if they correct within a few days. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, okay, well, I've had a couple days of going up. I'm gonna pull my calories back for one day and then go back to normal again. You don't do it long term, or I'm gonna fast for a day, or I'm gonna put in an extra workout for a day and try to knock yourself out of that cycle. But I think in general, it is just some water fluctuation, or maybe it's retaining a little bit of waste matter that you don't expel in urine or feces during that period of time. It's the main thing that it is. This also transpires, and I've seen when I was looking for answers myself, it kind of, a lot of people ask things like, why does my weight go up at night? Why does it go down by morning? Because you have food in your stomach. That's a simple one. And this doesn't even matter. You don't have to be on keto or nothing. In fact, you might see bigger fluctuations if you're living an unhealthy life, eating a lot of carbohydrates and drinking a lot of booze and stuff. You'll lose 5-6 pounds between bedtime and when you wake up in the morning and take a pee and a poop. You can lose 4, 5, 6 pounds. That's why I say it's really important to weigh yourself at the same time every day. And I think all you're seeing is fluctuations within that realm, and you're trying to find a constants by weighing yourself same time, same way, same circumstances every day. I don't think it's anything to really worry about. Next one is one I don't have a full answer for yet, but I did a great interview on my podcast yesterday with Dr. Ken Berry, and you might as well, guys and gals might really want to check out that podcast. We had a great discussion, and we talked about this after the podcast. I kind of wish we had gotten it recorded, but what Ken said is, and I haven't verified this yet. I have tremendous respect for Ken. I agree with about 99.9% of what comes out of his mouth. I think he's a fantastic guy. But anybody, I don't care who they are, I always try to verify things. But he actually said, you feel cooler because your body temperature went up, which seems odd. Well, I think if you go up to like a real high fever, even then you can have chills, but in general you start to sweat, you feel hot, etc. But I do think it is potentially possible that your internal temperature rising can actually make your skin temperature feel cooler. And here's why. Let's say that I gave you a thing of water, and that water was heated to 80 degrees. That water temperature is going to feel fairly cool to you because your body temperature is 98.6 degrees. If you first were to put your hands into 100 degree water, it's not going to burn you at all. I mean, I keep my hot tub that high, right? And then go into 80 degree water, it's going to feel relatively cooler. If you put your hand into 45 degree water, you're only going to leave it there for so long before it starts to hurt because it's so cold. When you put it into 80 degree water, it will feel warm. Meaning that what we perceive as temperature is relative to other factors involving temperature. So I think it's possible that we can feel cooler with a slightly warmer internal temperature. He said up to half a degree. So if your normal temperature is 98.6, what he's saying is you'd be walking around 99.1. You would normally think of that as a fever, but what it is a metabolic-based increase because of your improved diet. And your new normal becomes a half a degree warmer. This can also maybe, I'm not totally sold on this, but maybe account for some of the metabolic advantage. If it's true, and I guess I could test this by simply taking my temperature a few times a day for a couple weeks while on keto, and see if I indeed have a higher body temperature while I am able to set my thermostat on 77 instead of 71, which is crazy to me, but that's how it's working out. And if my body temperature is higher, that would prove it. And if it's higher, then you have to have a metabolic advantage. I am a 220-pound man. To push 220 pounds of human half a degree warmer takes a significant amount of energy. It's a significant thermal load. It's not like heating up a little glass of water a half a degree, right? It's like heating up a tub, a 55-gallon drum of water, well, really more like a 25-gallon drum of water, and holding it a half degree warmer than it normally is. You don't have to, blow out a whole tank of grill gas to do it, but it's a significant thermal load across the total spectrum. And you're talking about, since this is not conditional upon activity, This is, your basal rate basically then 24/7, 365. Now, before I'll confirm that and say it's fact, I have to see science that, and this is my rule with science, a study alone does not prove anything to me. A study with common sense methodology behind it that wasn't clearly driven by an agenda that gives a conclusive result is a proof point. When an independent agency, an independent group of researchers can replicate that study and get a repeatable result, then I take it as reasonable assertion that it's a fact. And I have not seen anybody prove this, so I'm just putting out as a theory, not a fact, but it's something interesting to think about. Another question, totally different, is I get people almost angry with me over this. How can fruit be unhealthy? You're just such a jerk. And that's a joke for some people. But yeah, I get people really mad at me when I say you shouldn't be eating bananas and lots of apples and oranges and stuff like that, because everybody knows fruit is healthy. Well, why does everybody know that? Because everybody told you that? Because it's natural? Almost none of the, first of all, let's explain something. Almost none of the fruit we eat today is natural fruit. For thousands and thousands of years, there is nothing that was in the wild with the sugar yields that we have today, except maybe figs. Figs are about it. Every other fruit, and that's even been taken further, but there are wild figs that are just plumb full of sugar. But they only exist in semi-tropics and tropics, around kind of a blend between tropic and desert environments. That's where they exist. It's a very narrow band of where those things exist. Let's look at something like an apple. That's got to be healthy. Humans have to have been eating apples forever. No. Every apple in the world genetically goes back to a fairly small region of a fairly small modern nation known as Kazakhstan. If you were living in North America before the white man came to North America, you had never seen an apple. Ever. At all. Period. They didn't exist here. Closest thing would have been Manzanito, and if you've ever seen those, you ain't going to be sitting down much in no Manzanito or making Manzanito applesauce. Okay? Yes, manzana means apple, but Manzanito, look it up if you don't know what it is. It makes really beautiful wood for your fish tanks, by the way, those trees. It's a desert species from the southwest. There was nothing approaching what we think of as an apple. And even the apples that existed in Kazakhstan, they weren't giant, beautiful apples. They were tart apples. We genetically steered. It's not genetic engineering that we've been doing for thousands of years. It's genetic steering through selection and selective breeding. We did the same thing with bananas. Bananas were little bitty green starchy things that weren't that great. You wouldn't have sat down and ate a whole bunch of them. And we did selective breeding to make the modern banana, which is a bag of sugar. Additionally, until we had global shipping and refrigeration and things like that, fruit was highly seasonal. Because it takes, a fairly long season for an apple, even if you plant your own apple tree, to get ripe. And then they'll only store so long. And they were considered a treat and a luxury through the winter. So they were used very sparingly when they were stored in things like root cellars and stuff like that. Plus, the people that were eating them, they didn't have access to high fructose corn syrup and all the processed foods we're eating today. And they didn't start out fat when they were eating an apple. I think eating an apple or an orange or something like that is no real big deal when you're at weight and you're healthy and what have you. You still need to monitor how much of it you eat. I think juice is poison. Apple juice, orange juice, it's pure sugar. You've taken all of the real nutritional value out of it. Carrot juice is like cancer fuel, and you got nutritionists putting cancer patients on freaking carrot juice. Those people should have their licenses taken away and be beaten with a frozen fish like a lake trout or something big to really smack the crap out of them. I mean, you're killing people when you do that. But yeah, you can eat fruits and higher carb vegetables as whole foods in moderation once you're at weight and healthy. While you're trying to lose weight, it's just not only that it's not healthy, it's that it will derail your efforts to lose weight. It absolutely will. And I'm back to this. Fructose is a toxin, and if you want to know more about the science behind that, look up, and I'll put a link in the video notes today, a thing called Sugar, the Bitter Truth, presented by a very intellectual individual that explains at deep chemical level, chemical processing level, as to how the liver is as burdened by fructose as it is by alcohol. And again, the difference is We know not to drink 4 cups of vodka, but we think 4 cups of juice is okay. Well, we're not going to get intoxicated, but we're doing the same level of damage to our liver over time, along with giving ourselves type 2 diabetes and other things. So stop giving your kids all the damn juice. Give them water. Next is dairy keto? Sure. Of course it is. If you say it isn't, then you're thinking of maybe Whole30. I really haven't looked into that, so I think they're anti-dairy. Paleo, some of the primal methods and things like that. There are elimination diets that say no dairy. Now, if you're drinking a giant glass of milk, especially like skim milk or something on keto, you're going to blow your carbohydrates because lactose is sugar. There's other sugars in milk as well. There's a lot of carbohydrates in a significant amount of milk. But ghee, butter, cream, half and half if you measure it so you don't go over your carbs, there's nothing wrong with using that on a keto diet. Now, I'll tell you that dairy, to me, is a place where the premium between organic and non-organic is so small, comparative. And again, since you're not using like a giant glass of milk for breakfast, you're talking about 2 tablespoons of half and half or heavy cream, that it just doesn't make any sense to go ahead and use anything but an organic product as long as you can find it when it comes to dairy. With cheese, try to go organic, grass-fed, something like that. But cheese is fine. But I think you can have too much of those things. Even if you technically stay under your carbohydrates, you need to make sure that you're getting enough truly good fats, mostly from animal fats, but also from things like avocados, avocado oil, olive oil, the high quality fats that come from plant-based sources and animal-based sources. All right. Last, kind of tying into that one, I get questions like, how important is it really to be organic, grass-fed, etc.? I kind of talked about this when I gave, and I want to make sure that the video I did about reducing your factory meat consumption was, hey, this is what to do if you don't think you can afford it. So you might want to go back and listen to that episode. But I think it's as important as you make it. I think it certainly can improve your health to stop eating beef that's being fed GMO, pesticide, and herbicide-ridden soy. I think that if you can't do it with meat or all meats, definitely do it at least with eggs. If you can't have your own backyard flock, I understand not everybody can do that, but at minimum go to an organic egg. Better is like a cage-free or free-range egg that's also still organic. Because I can do totally free range and then feed my birds GMO food. And the problem with GMO food being fed to birds, which all the conventional feed is multi. Number one, soy, specifically whole soy, has phytoestrogens in it that are not good for the human body. They cause problems in men and women in totally different ways, but they're bad. An egg is an ovary. Where do estrogens concentrate in the female body? In an ovary. Egg is an ovary. So you are having an animal that's being fed something that concentrates phytonutrients in the very thing you're eating. And we know that from customers of our products who have tried organic eggs, have tried everything. And when they eat not only something beyond organic and free range and pastured and well taken care of, but they're also eating something that's soy free, because they've even eaten organic products with organic soy. They can eat our eggs where they have no tolerance for other eggs. So we know from our own personal experience that is a thing with people. So that's definitely something you want to do, is try to be soy free with your eggs, but at least organic. It's not a deal breaker. I would rather a person eat factory meat every meal than not do a keto diet. And I think that over time you'll figure out ways of using things like I talked about before. Lamb just isn't raised in a CAFO. It's just not how lamb is raised, right? Grass-fed beef, the most affordable version of it is ground or organ meats. And even when you're paying a premium for steaks and what have you, if you start looking at it, and you start balancing out some of your calories with things like avocado, high-quality mayonnaise that's not made with soy, things like that, you don't need to be eating a pound of meat every day unless you've gone carnivore, and that's your own business. If you have, I'm not going to put that down. It's not my path, but if it's yours, that's fine. But if you're not doing that, then, most people, a meal, you're going to be somewhere between 4 and 8 ounces. Well, that means a 1 pound steak is at least 2 meals. And if you're doing, leftovers for lunch and you're doing 2 meals a day like I do, and if you throw in like an egg or two to that breakfast, you can use even less of your beef product or meat product. And then if you add things like organic chicken to the mix, it's a lot more affordable. So I think that it's something I would put it this way. You should make your best effort, but you shouldn't let your lack of economic capability prevent you from doing keto, because it means that you're going to eat some meat that's CAFO raised. I think we should all, keto or not, eat as little CAFO based food as possible. And here's the upshot to that. One of the big obstacles we have that makes us a million Goliaths, a million Davids against 3 Goliaths, the food industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and the government, is that it's going to require a multi-trillion-dollar shift in the economy if people actually decide this is the way most people want to live. Because you're going to have billions, and I'm not kidding when I say billions, billions of acres that are growing corn, soy, wheat, and rye, turned into silvopasture models, grazing cattle. We cannot raise beef sustainably and other meats sustainably in the CAFO model if it becomes the majority consumed food in America for calories. If most people are keto or keto-ish, we cannot run the CAFO model anymore. We're going to have to put animals on pasture where they eat the things they're supposed to eat directly. And the funny thing about, if we feed a cow corn grows, we harvest the corn, we truck it to the cow who's living in misery for the end of its life, and we feed it the corn, and then we plow the field up, and then we plant the corn, and we have to wait for it to grow back. If we grow pasture, the cow comes and eats the grass by about a third, and then the rancher farmer moves the cow to another thing called a paddock, which means they don't run free on 1,000 acres. They're on maybe 10 acres today and 10 acres tomorrow, and they move like that through the whole system. And we can do things like leader-follower systems where the cows goes first, and then 4 or 5 paddocks behind, we have pigs coming behind them, and then 4 or 5 paddocks behind, we have chickens coming behind them. We can put 3 animals on that property, but we do them in a contained and controlled manner. It's called rotational grazing, and the land gets healthier and more fertile every single year. We never have to apply fertilizer. We never have to plow. We never have to put any seed down. We don't need any pesticides. This can be done 100% naturally. And that means that grass-fed, pasture-raised is the future of all meat if keto is going to become the true mainstream that it needs to save millions of American lives. But that is going to be fought tooth and nail by people that have invested in billions of dollars into combines and seeders and stuff like that, and farm equipment. And think about the farm equipment companies that will go out of business. Because how many of them do you need when you switch to this model? You still need some. We're still going to grow corn and soy, and we're just not going to grow anywhere near the amount if people actually switch over. This is one of the big roadblocks. You are talking about trillions of dollars either changing completely, industries being blown up into nothingness and reborn as new industries, and in many cases a lot of money that's being spent simply not needing to be spent at all anymore. If we reduce the amount of farm equipment we use in America by half, it's hundreds of billions of dollars gone. And the jobs associated with actually building that equipment. But we don't build things just so people will have jobs. We build things because they're useful. This is the most environmentally friendly diet in the world. If the world would get on with producing the food that we should be producing in the first place, because it's a natural system of abundance. No seed, no pesticide, no fertilizer, no herbicide, just animals doing what animals do, and humans using their God-given brains to maintain and run ecosystems based on that. And in the lines of these paddocks, we can grow tons of trees for nuts and fruits that can provide some substance for humans and lots of substance for animals, and improve habitat everywhere. This is the most environmentally friendly. They're going to keep telling you that it's the keto folks. That's the next. They're already talking about it. and the cow farts are warming the planet, whatever. But they're going to come full court press as this movement, because this movement is not slowing down. It works too good. People are learning the truth. They're going to come full court press that you are killing the planet with your steak. Your steak is the salvation of the ecology that we've damaged of this planet and restoring it to the way it's supposed to be. We need to replace 50 million bison that are never coming back because their way of life has been destroyed by railroads and highways and fences, with 100 million cattle being managed the way the bison used to operate, and 200 million pigs behind them, and 500 million chickens. And we can feed our entire country and a big part of the rest of the world that way for less money with less effort. And the cost of meat would go down. And the cost of healthcare would go down. Didn't know I was going to go here today, but that's where we're at. And if you don't believe it, if you're sitting here watching this as a skeptic because somebody said some stupid redneck duck farmer is talking about this, and they even said jump ahead to hear the bullshit at the end of this, you want to know if it works or not? Here you go. See that? See that? So I'm right. Don't ever want to be wrong when I'm giving you numbers. 46 days of eating the food that the fucking government tells you is bad for you, and that's what's not on my ass anymore. It's bullshit. It's time to stop believing in fairy tales. This concept that fat makes you fat and you should be eating sugar, which is what grain is the base of your diet, is a fairy tale. And America, you know what? You stop believing in Santa Claus when you're 6, 7, 8 years old, somewhere around there. Stop believing in this damn fairy tale. It's not true just because it's what you were taught. And there's too many me's. If it was just me, it could be maybe I'm just some guy that, does well on fat. There are millions of us now. You guys that are doing it, you guys that are success stories, never stop telling people. You people right now that are on my program, I guess it's my program, the keto program, that when you're just using me for tracking your results, some of you people are 300 pounds or more. You might be like, man, that really sucks. It sucks, but do you know what opportunity you have? If you're the 300-pound person, a 250-pound woman that's on keto, somebody that's like 50% body fat, 60% body fat, some of you, do you know what you are? You right now are your own savior. The only thing that can prevent you from losing your hands and feet, blowing up your kidneys, dying old, dying young, being miserable, whatever it is, having your heart explode, the only thing that can save you right now is you. But when you save you, and somebody says, no, it's a fad, and you go, see this picture? This was me. This was me. You don't have to say anything else. The person you're talking to goes, oh, I want some of that in my life. And a lot of people, you don't even have to show them the picture. All you have to do is just be yourself. All the people that you see every day, when they watch you go from 300 pounds to 190 pounds, and you just say, it's keto, man. Stop eating poison. They might mock you when you're 270 if you only lost 30 pounds. But when you get where you're going, they're going to ask you how you got there, and they're going to want to go along. We can, within, I'd say, 5 years, radically transform the way the average American eats. We could take a load off the healthcare system. And if we don't, the current projections are within 10 years. And this is unlike a lot of bullshit science says. There's a lot of validity behind this. 10 years at current rates within the United States, the entire healthcare system's budget will be consumed with nothing but the treatment of diabetes and related complications. There will be no room, no money for anything else. That's how serious this is. Somebody thanked me today for the video I did earlier in this series where I compared obesity to cancer and said I needed that. That person's down as much weight as me already. It's up to you, man. Do you want to die? Or do you not only want to live and thrive, but set an example for others so they may do the same thing? That's why I do these videos every day. Guys that are new to my channel or whatever, I've been doing a podcast for 11 years. 200,000 people a day listen to that podcast. I have not worked a job for 9+ years. I could quit right now and do nothing for 5 years at all. I could even shut off the money that would still come in from residuals for 5 years, and my life wouldn't even change. I am not doing this to build up my YouTube channel. I'm not doing this to become well known for something else. I'm doing this because I know people in my own damn audience are dying, that my fellow Americans are dying, and that you're being lied to every day, and somebody has to tell you the fucking truth, and that's my job to do. The other person that you need, that needs to be honest with you is you. You know where to find that person: in the mirror, in your bathroom. Go talk to him or talk to her. The cause of and solution to all of your problems. With that, just a reminder: day of celebration. That's what's gone. I challenge you not only to get on this program, do better than me with it. Beat me with it. It'll be a contest I'll be happy to lose to you.